What's going on, guys? This is Michael with the Shutter View, and today we're going to be talking about flashes, all types of flashes. And the big question we're going to answer today is, do you need a flash for photography? And honestly, the short answer is yes, but I'm going to explain why. So I've been doing photography for 12 years now, if you don't know. Primarily weddings, but I do a lot of graduation. I also do events, like Special Olympics and stuff like that. So I do a lot of outdoor photography and indoor photography. And that brings me to my first question when people ask me, do I need a flash? And I tell them, I ask them a couple questions like, are you going to be photographing outdoors, or indoors? And then what time of day, if you are photographing outdoors, what time are you going to be photographing? Because typically, if you know what the golden hour is, which is about an hour or two before sunset, you probably don't need a flash just because with the sun setting on the horizon, the lighting's going to look really good. And you probably will not need a flash unless you're the sun setting faster than you need, then you might need to pull this out to grab those last shots. But typically at golden hour, you don't need a flash. But then they ask you, then when do I need a flash when I photograph outside during the day? Afternoon. So when's the worst time to take a photo of somebody? Afternoon. The sun's right above you. So if you don't know, which everyone should, the sun rises somewhere and then it sets somewhere. So it does this arc around us. So in the morning, you'll have the sun somewhere here, and then in the afternoon, the sun will usually be right here. And what does that cause? That causes shadows to come down into our eyes, our subject's eyes, and it makes for a very unflattering photo. It makes for like a zombie-like photo. It looks like somebody didn't get a lot of sleep, or they needed maybe a coffee or something. They're going to have shadows under their eyes. Now, that's one of the benefits of having a flash is if you're in a situation where you get a client and they're like, well, I have to photograph at 12:30 in the afternoon. Like, that's the only time I'm free. I've got to go get a date with my wife, or it's my kid's recital, so we need to do this family session at 12:30. And then if you have a flash, you can easily tell them like, well, not a problem, and then you can just pull this out. And what you can do is you can turn the flash towards them, and you can use what's called a fill flash. So what a fill flash does is you aim the flash directly towards them. You can use either a camera mounted flash like this, or you can use a flash on a stand like this. And you can dial it down, get the settings, take test shots, and basically fill in all of those shadows. So when the light's casting towards them, you're getting light coming down from the sun, and you're getting light also, a small amount of light coming in to fill in all those shadows in their eyes. And trust me, guys, it looks flattering. It's very flattering. A lot of photos you'll see out there is like, wow, this photo looks really good. And it's like, in the middle of the day, how? Flash. It's because that fill light just takes away all those harsh shadows and makes everything look perfectly lit. That's why I love flashes, guys. That's why you're gonna want to invest in a flash. Now, that being said, do you need to invest in an expensive flash? We'll get to that later, but going back to uses for flashes outside, and I'll touch base real quick about people asking me, well, what happens if I'm in a situation where my flash fails, or I don't have it, or I forgot it, or I don't have a flash? Find shade. If you're outdoors and you're in the middle of the day and you're getting those harsh shadows under people's eyes, and there's no clouds in the skies to soften those shadows, because if it's a cloudy day, you can photograph any time of the day and it still look pretty good. But I would find shade. So try to find a large tree. In fact, there's been many a times where I prefer to photograph under a tree because it looks much better than photographing out in an open field or something like that. So try to find a tree to put your subjects under, and you'll get rid of those harsh shadows on their eyes. Now, again, that's going back to an emergency thing. It does work without a flash. Does that necessarily mean you don't need to buy a flash? I feel like it doesn't, because what if you have a situation where somebody wants to not photograph under a tree or something like that, then the flash will give you a little more control over your lighting. That being said, going to indoors, why would you need a flash indoors? So flash indoors is if you go, let's say you go to a cathedral and it's older and the lighting's not very good, or maybe they want to make it moody and they just have candle lighting. So I have no problem with that. I think that makes beautiful photos, but it can get dark in there. And then in that situation, this is where a flash will help you, or let's say you even go to a venue that has terrible lighting. It's like a sealed, basically like a giant shed, which I've been to, and there's like a couple fluorescent lights at the top. This is where a flash will help you. So now, instead of pointing the flash at people, you point it upward and you stick on this little thing right here. This is called a dome diffuser. And what this does is it it disperses evenly a ball of flash so around you. So it's kind of like, there's like, you know, you get that light bulb across your head. So basically when you're photographing with this, you're getting like a ball of flash just kind of launching everywhere, and you'll get a nice even light setting everything up. And I can tell you right now, it will help you as well in a pinch. So everything I'm saying is like situations where you need to control light, and you will come across situations where you need to control light. So that's why I highly recommend that people buy a flash. And guys, honestly, don't overthink it. Don't buy a flash that's like, oh, I want to buy, if you can afford it, obviously get something like a Godox V1C. You know, I mean, this is an amazing flash. It has a rechargeable battery in it, but this thing also, I think, retails now for $300. You can get them on sale for $229, but that might be a little too expensive for people. So on Amazon, they make a lot of different clones that kind of look like this flash, but they're going to be a lot less expensive. And I highly recommend those, guys. I actually learned on a newer flash when I was younger, and I can tell you right now, that budget flash I bought for $70 back in the day, you can get a lot better flashes now for $70. A lot of them even have the LCD screen on the back of them. So look into budget flashes, read reviews. There's a ton out there. And I would rather see you guys carrying, at least in your backpack, one flash, even if it's a budget one. I don't want people to overthink and be like, oh, I need the $300 flash. You don't need it. Like, learn on a budget flash, and then as you make more money or you get better and then you want to upgrade, something like a Godox would be definitely a worthy investment. But just know, guys, if you have no flash right now, definitely I would recommend having one, because again, it helps you control the lighting, and without light there is no photography. So just keep that in mind, guys. And also, just to touch base, like on this, like this gigantic Flashzilla right here. Do you need something like this? This really is good for, say you're doing any kind of studio photography, but I use this most for if I'm photographing a large group of people, which happens sometimes in weddings. And you have, you know, maybe the bride's like, oh, can you take a photo of like my entire family? And then suddenly like 20 people show up. This is where this will help you. So yeah, something like this might have difficulty filling in the shadows on 20 people. Something like this does not have that problem, because it's a massive flash and it's got a built-in battery. So do you need to buy this? I would say focus on getting something like this first, or maybe even two of these, and then down the line you can purchase something like this. And because this is going to be a little more expensive. Well, this is about twice the cost of this. So just keep that in mind. This is, again, we're taking baby steps, guys. So this first, and then this, and then if you're ever in a pinch and you're really on a budget and you want to, and let's say you're not doing event photography or something like this, these little newer portable lights are $15, like, and they're fantastic. You can change the colors, you can do all the different stuff with them. The battery light, they're rechargeable, and the battery life is amazing, but these are great, as you can see, for lighting people. They've got a little tripod mount on the bottom, and they also mount to your camera. So this would be a great option as well if you're just looking for a really cheap option to, or even a backup. I throw a couple of these in my bag just in case. You never know, they might come in handy. They're great for videography as well. But there you go, guys. We have the really cheap $15 one, then we have the mid-range one, and then we have the very expensive one. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, but just to recap, yes, a flash is a good investment. And I know a lot of people out there be like, well, I can photograph without a flash. And it's like, I'm glad you can, but me, sometimes there's situations where I like to control lighting. And and I don't want to see you guys also like struggle. So go outside. If you don't have a flash right now, go on Amazon and find a very inexpensive flash. That will do just fine for you guys. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. This is Michael with the Shutter View, and I appreciate all of you. Please like and subscribe. I try to do videos, you know, at least twice a week, and I'm going to do some tutorial videos and teach you more about wedding photography and photography in general. But anyway, guys,